Today we are going to show you around the RV that we've been living in for the last 2 years.
For those of you who are new here, I'm Diana.
And I'm Matt.
And this is Adventurous Way. In March of 2018, we bought this outdoors RV travel trailer. And in July of that same year, we quit our full-time Silicon Valley tech jobs to travel the country and visit all 419 national park units while living full-time in this RV.
And in the video today, we're going to show you some of the features that made this RV stand out as we were doing our research as to which RV to buy and how those things are working out after 2 years on the road. When we first started researching which RV we wanted to buy, we really had a blank slate to choose from. We had never owned an RV before, neither of us had ever even been on an RV trip, like a camping trip with an RV. So we didn't know what type of RV would suit us best. We were looking at Class A motorhomes, we were looking at fifth wheels, we were looking at pop-ups, we were looking at truck campers and vans. And the more research we did, the more we decided that having something small was going to be an advantage. We wanted to go places that a lot of people can't go. We wanted to get off grid. And as we kept doing more and more research, we decided that having a small travel trailer combined with the truck that we already had was going to be a winning combination to get us into some of these spots. So we started looking for trailers that were really well built, really solid and really durable and could go off-road. And that led us to Outdoors RV. Now, Outdoors RV is a manufacturer based up in La Grande, Oregon. If you haven't seen our videos yet on the factory tour that we did there, then we'll put a link in the description below and be sure to check those out. We did that factory tour as part of our research, and one of the things that we were really impressed with was the quality. But as we started looking at the models and the floor plans they have available, we quickly decided that staying small within their range was going to be the best way forward for us. And that's how we landed on the Outdoors RV 21 RBS. This is just under 25 feet from ball to bumper at the back, which means we can really go anywhere we want. It's a really, really small footprint of trailer. Now, these are really well built and really solid. That also means they're quite heavy. And staying small also allowed us to stick with a trailer that could be towed with our existing truck, a half-ton F-150 pickup. Now, if you've already got a bigger truck or you've got the ability to buy a different truck, then maybe you might choose differently. We'd already modded our truck to go off-roading. We had skid plates and suspension and these things, so we didn't really want to invest in a brand new truck. So this kind of was the winning combination for us to get us on the road and RVing. So as you can see, the RV is pretty small. We do have the single slide on the driver's side, but otherwise at just under 25 feet, we haven't yet found somewhere that we can't get into.
One of the first things that people notice when they come into our RV is they say that it feels much bigger from the inside than it seems from the outside. And that is because of this slide out. This is fairly big slide out, and it has a huge dinette. This is a larger dinette than normally RVs have, and we love it. We love it because we can both work on it and our laptops don't touch each other and we have enough space to work here. It converts into bed, and my brother, who's 6'3", he slept on it and he was totally fine and he felt very comfortable in it. Another thing we like, under the cushions there is a drawer that comes up to about here. So that's a lot of space in the drawer, and there is additional space behind there that we put more kind of seasonal clothes. So in this side is like guest bedding, extra towels, things like that. And on other side we have our ski gear, like boots and helmets and things like that. And then I normally work on this side of the table and Matt normally works on that side of the table. And then this drawer here is for my stuff, and that drawer there is for his stuff. This is our bedroom. This is a full queen size bed, and for us it was important so that our feet don't dangle over the bed. I normally sleep on this side, so this is kind of my side of the bed, and I have there books and a Kindle and like this kind of box of my personal stuff, and then Matt has like his box on his side. So in this closet we actually added shelves so that we can put more clothes in, and we folded them and put them in these bins that we can slide out because it is fairly deep. and there's more clothes storage up there. Here I also have my yoga mat and a foam roller. Normally it lives in the back cupboard, but if I use them often, I keep them here. For reading lights, we don't have two separate lights. It just came with this one single light. We also velcroed on this weather station. We used to just keep it up there, and then every time we would drive, it would fall down. So now it's velcroed on. And it's connected to different temperature sensors, one in the truck, one in outside storage bay, and one in another part of the RV. We have this curtain here that goes across. We've used it a couple times and it's kind of full way across. That's when our my brother Janis stayed over. Otherwise, Matt likes to watch TV later than me, so we kind of put it halfway through so that it blocks the TV for me, but Matt can still see it. And this here is our National Park Explorer map. It has stickers, and these dark green ones are the ones that where we have been to. And this map includes all the national parks we've been to even before we started this channel. So it has a few more national parks marked off than we have videos on our YouTube channel. But we'll be going back to those, and we'll be sharing those experiences with you as well. Under the bed, there is a lot of storage. There is a drawer on each side, and on top of it is a large storage compartment designed for duvets and so on. We actually changed that, and instead we installed a majority of our electrical stuff over there. So we have inverter, 3 Battle-Born lithium batteries, DC charger, and solar chargers. But we will have another video where we do a deep dive into this electrical mod. But this is where it lives. Our fridge is a 6 cubic foot Norcold fridge, and it runs on 2 modes, either on AC electric or on propane. And this fridge actually holds groceries for us enough for like 7 to 10 days. In the kitchen, we have a microwave, a 3-burner gas stove, and an oven. And actually for us, the oven is quite usable because we also added a pizza stone in there. And that is great for redistributing heat, so anything bakes more evenly, and for making pizzas. There are 2 sinks. The covers make a smooth counter space, and we have a spice rack, 2 drawers over here, and space under the sink. This was a big downsizing from our previous kitchen that was larger than our whole trailer, but we got our essentials here, and we have been able to make all the stuff that we like to eat. So in these cupboards, we keep Instant Pot here, 1 frying pan, 1 pan, lots of bowls, dishes, and so on. This is really helpful for piling more stuff and using up the vertical space. One of the first things we also did was adding this paper towel holder. The under sink cupboard actually has quite a lot of usable space, and we extend it by keeping stuff in these boxes so that we can easily take them in and out. And in our drawers, we have these trays where we put stuff, and then there's a lot more space underneath to put stuff. And this drawer here is solely dedicated to our tea habit and a little bit of coffee, but mostly tea. We rarely eat out, and we cook pretty much all the meals in the RV. So far this kitchen has been very functional for us. And with the extra sink covers, if you put those in, that gives us more counter space. Also, we cook a lot together, so for both of us moving around in the kitchen, that so far also hasn't been a problem. Sometimes putting stuff away maybe is annoying to kind of put it back in where exactly it needs to be and then take it out again. But that's, I guess, one of the things you have to deal with in a smaller space to be able to fit all the kitchen appliances and everything that you want. We drink a lot of tea. So electric kettle made our list of kitchen appliances to keep. And actually we have 2. This is electric kettle that we use when we have a lot of solar power coming in. And in winter we use a stovetop kettle that right now is hidden away in the cupboard. We live in this RV full time, so we have everything with us. So having lots of storage is very important, and this trailer definitely delivers, especially because it's 21-foot model. So this is our pantry. This cupboard here actually goes all the way to the ceiling, so it's quite tall. So there we put all the bottles and even puts light stuff on top of there. And then rest of the kind of pantry items are distributed in these places here, and they're in boxes so that we can pull out the front box and then pull out the box in the back. Let me show you how deep these cupboards are. So this is our coat hanger space, and trying to get to the back, and this is back. So now my fingertips are touching the back wall. This is how deep is this cupboard, and the pantry cupboard as well. So that's a lot of space. So for this cupboard, all our coats and some of my dresses and a suit and stuff like that is hanged here. On this side, we have hanging shelves because we wanted to really use up the vertical space, and this much of hanging clothes space is totally enough for us. It took us a few tries. Actually, this is a third hanging shelf, but finally it works. And the trick was to put lighter stuff on top, like paper towels, crackers, and helmets and so on, and heavy stuff on the bottom. So here on the bottom we have some extra pantry food items, but the very back, this only takes up half of the depth of the closet because it's so deep. So the back of it is stuffed full with stuff that we don't use as often. So some of our camera gear that we don't use as often, and some other taller items. And no, this is not all full with cookies. That's extra pantry items. It's just a bigger box. Finding a place where to put trash in smaller RVs can be a challenge. So we measured the space very, very carefully, and we found the right size trash can so that we can keep it here really flush to the wall, and the slide can still come in. And then over there is a Dyson that after probably a year and a half, Matt finally convinced me to mount it on the wall instead of keeping it in the cupboard. When we first were looking at the trailers, we actually looked at models that didn't have a slide because we thought that that might be safer, because we heard a lot of people have problems with slides. Eventually, we convinced ourselves that the trade-off between having a slide is more important because it gives more space, especially since we were trying to keep the trailer under 25 feet because we wanted to get in those national park campgrounds. So it was very, very important to us that we can still use the trailer fully even when the slide is in. And that is true in this model. When the slide is in, it comes up around here, and we can open the fridge. Actually, a few times, we actually even baked the pizza in the oven with the slide in as a kind of lunch stop on a driving day. And we can access the bathroom from the bed when the slide is in, and that has come in handy a few times when we had to put the slide in because it was super, super windy during the night. Overall, I think the bathroom size is a very good balance between not being too big and wasted space and being big enough so that showering and using the bathroom is comfortable. And there is enough storage space. There is a cubby over here and a medicine cupboard here, and the cupboard underneath is completely stuffed full. This shoe organizer also has been super handy in storing miscellaneous stuff here and shoes on the bottom. But actually, this particular shoe organizer is about 10 years old because I got it when I was in college, and then it came with me to San Francisco where I lived in a super tiny apartment. So that was great there to using up the space. And then it came with me when me and Matt moved in together, and now it has survived and still is in use in our RV 2 years later.
So having a small trailer is great for getting off-road, but what you also need is clearance. And that's one of the things we really liked about this trailer. This has an enormous amount of clearance compared to a lot of trailers that honestly are better suited to staying on the pavement. But we wanted to go really off-road. Now, this is not a teardrop. This is not a little off-road teardrop trailer, and it's not going to go anywhere that a Jeep will go, but it'll go a lot more places than most trailers, and we've definitely used that to its full advantage. Now, a couple of things that this came with that I really, really liked and we've made full use of since then are not just the high clearance, but the good quality tyres. This came from the factory with Goodyear Endurance tyres. A lot of people say when you buy a trailer, one of the first upgrades you have to do is to replace the cheap tyres that it comes with some good quality tyres. Ours came with good quality tyres right from the factory, and they've worked out really well for us. The other thing we really like is the suspension. Some trailers don't really have suspension at all. Ours has suspension on the axles. It also has the MORryde CRE 3000 system, which is a really, really good system for improving the articulation of the wheels. We have definitely made full use of this, and we've taken this trailer to some pretty crazy places, and I think we've tested that suspension to its limits, but it has worked out great for us. So now we have a trailer that can get to some pretty cool off-grid places, but the next question is how long can we stay there? And one of the big reasons that we chose Outdoors RV is because they custom build their own frames. Not only does this let them have really strong trailers, but it also lets them be very creative about where they position the holding tanks and critically how big those tanks can be. Given this is only a 25-foot long travel trailer, we have absolutely huge holding tanks. Our freshwater tank is 78 gallons, and our grey and our black are both 40 gallons each. That's absolutely huge for this side of trailer, and honestly, it's about double what we could find on other trailers. We have made full use of that, and it lets us boondock off-grid comfortably for up to 2 weeks at a time, which is exactly what we wanted. Now, as well as holding tanks, the other resource that we have to carry on our trailer here is propane. Our trailer here came with two 30-pound propane tanks, which is again larger than a lot of trailers would typically come with this size. Now we have made some changes here. We've changed out the propane regulator and the hoses, so look out for those in our upcoming video about some of the mods that we've done here. The other thing you might notice is behind the propane cylinders here, we just have a storage box where we keep our sewer hoses and things like that. Normally that's where you'd keep the batteries, but you'll see again on an upcoming video, we've done some pretty big electrical upgrades on our trailer to keep us off-grid. Since we are in a smaller trailer, storage space is an absolute premium for us. And really, the front storage bay here is the only outside storage that we have. This is a full pass-through storage that goes from one side to the other, and this was critical for us. As full-timers, we have everything that we own on the road with us pretty much, including our skis and snowboard and all of that camping equipment that we want to use to go out and explore. And so we keep a lot of that in this front storage bay here. You'll also notice that the storage bay doors themselves are really thick. There's a really good thick insulating door here, and that's a theme that is found throughout the Outdoors RV trailers. They really take the insulation seriously, from the sealed underbelly underneath to the thick insulation in the walls. These trailers are really, really well insulated, which allows us to go to super cold places and super hot places and not suffer as much. So that's been something that we've really, really enjoyed. We haven't yet taken the trailer to really cold places. We've only got down to about 20 Fahrenheit or so. But having heard from other owners who have been to much, much colder temperatures, these trailers hold up a lot better than most. And it's not just can you go there and can you live there, but how much are you going to spend on propane? The answer is because of the insulation, we spend a lot less than most people do on propane because it just doesn't take a lot to heat a well-insulated, relatively small trailer. Another thing that you might notice on the door behind me here is this little white box. Again, we'll talk more about that in an upcoming video. That's one of our mods around the trailer for knowing when the door is open. While we're around here talking about the tanks, it is an RV and the tanks do still need dumping, and all of our black and grey tank valves are here. It's one of the few things on the trailer that we have had a small issue with. One of the rods, the sort of handle and things broke in there, but it wasn't too hard to replace that. We had the Outdoors RV factory actually replace that for us. But it is one of those things, when you do use a trailer full time, you just do have to think about the amount of wear and tear you're putting on some of these parts. And that is something that whatever trailer you have, you need to be mindful of. Another thing that we have ourselves managed to break is one of the stabilizers. Now, our trailer, as you can see, comes with the manual stabilizer jacks. Early on, we decided that one of our top priority mods was going to have to be to rip these off and replace them with fully electric stabilizing jacks. And then we decided that we'd just try it with a little drill bit adapter and see how we get on. And honestly, it was so easy to raise these jacks with a drill that we just didn't bother installing the electric stabilizer jacks. Now, one time I did mess up, I will admit, and the front passenger side jack, I actually have bent quite badly. I was disconnecting the trailer in the wrong order when I was trying to hook up and things, and the trailer kind of lurched forward and just landed on one of those jacks and has bent it. It's one of those things, again, just you got to take your time. It was early in our days of RVing. Now we have a routine, and every time we hook up or we disconnect and things, we just go step by step all the way through that checklist to make sure we don't miss anything and hopefully don't damage anything else. Like many travel trailers, ours came with a Hitch receiver on the bumper. Now, we spoke to the factory about how strong this Hitch really is, and they are very, very confident in the strength of that Hitch receiver and the entire rear bumper assembly. We can attest to that. We've had this bike rack on the back now since we hit the road 2 years ago, and it hasn't moved at all. It's been really, really stable, and that was really important to us. We wanted a trailer where we could mount our 2 bikes on the back of the trailer. We talked about the importance of having high clearance on the vehicle, and actually the lowest point on our trailer is the steps you can see behind me here. Now, these steps they're good, they fold down, they're manual, they're nothing fancy, but they do kind of hang down quite a long way, even when they are retracted, and they are the low point. We have scraped them more than once, and we've heard from fellow owners who've done the same. Maybe one of the mods that we'll do in future is to swap these ones out for some lower profile steps that don't hang down quite as far when they're in the retracted position. I really hope you've enjoyed this little tour of our RV and seeing some of the reasons that we chose 2 years ago to go with our Outdoors RV 21 RBS.
If you'd like to see a comparison how it looked like 2 years ago, we actually filmed an RV tour right after we bought it, so we'll add a link to that video in the description.
And if you want to see some of the mods and the changes that we've made inside the RV and outside the RV, then be sure to tune in for an upcoming video when we'll show you all of those mods.
As you saw inside, we haven't really touched much of the decor, and we have some ideas of how we could change that. And now, 2 years later, maybe the time has come.
So hit that subscribe button and join us on our adventures and see more of our RV life.
See you in the next video. I don't know. And that is great for redistributing heat. And that is great. And that is great for redistributing heat. So hit that subscribe button to join us on our adventures and see more of our There's too much R's. I'll slow down.